an easy thing to talk about. There are not many people of the generation that remember it. The right honourable gentleman served with distinction in the last war. I never killed anyone, but I wore uniform. But I was in London in the Blitz in 1940, living in the Millbank Tower where I was born. Some different ideas have come in since. And every night I went down to the shelter in Thames House. Every morning I saw Dockland burning. 500 people were killed in Westminster one night by a landmine. It was terrifying. Aren't Arabs terrified? Aren't Iraqis terrified? Don't Arab and Iraqi women weep when their children die? Doesn't bombing strengthen their determination? What fools we are to live in a generation for which war is a computer game for our children and just an interesting little Channel 4 news item. Every member of Parliament tonight who votes for the government motion will be consciously and deliberately accepting the responsibility for the deaths of innocent people if the war begins, as I fear it will. Now, that's for their decision to take. But this is a quite unique debate in my parliamentary experience, where we're asked to share responsibility for a decision we won't really be taking, with consequences for people who have no part to play in the brutality of the regime which we are dealing with. And I finish with this. On October the 24th, 1945, and the former Prime Minister from Bexley Old Sidcup will remember it, the United Nations Charter was passed. And the words of that charter etched into my mind and move me even as I think of them. We, the people of the United Nations, determined to save future generations, succeeding generations, from the scourge of war, which twice in our lifetime has caused untold suffering to mankind. That was the pledge of that generation to this generation, and it would be the greatest betrayal of all if we voted to abandon the Charter and take unilateral action and pretend we were doing it in the name of the international community. And I shall vote against the motion for the reasons that I've given the House.
And Steve's got something. There we go. Good Thursday evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's news from the pew time. I hope everybody's having a wonderful week. We are, and we're happy that you're here. I'm Rick Barrett, the host of Rickcast, author of The Armed Catholic, the Catholic Case for Guns and Self-Defense, which you can get at places and other things. And I'm joined, as always, by the godfather of alternative media and YouTube itself, the one and only Steve Cunningham, who is just as overjoyed as I am to be here tonight, as you can tell. So, Steve, how are you?
And we don't know what the heck we're doing.
That just comes with the territory. What are you talking about? That's just accepted.
Do we have the bleep part? No, Rick and Steve doesn't know what the blank they're doing.
They don't know what the blank they're doing. They don't. They're both stupid. They're both little kids. But we have a lot to talk about. We talked about it on my show today, but the obvious Iran, the next forever war in the sandbox, as the meme goes, born too late to play in the sandbox, born too early to play in the sandbox, born just in time to go back in the sandbox, because the Trump may be claiming victory, but the deep state and everybody is working overtime to try and get us involved in a never-ending war in the Middle East. And we talked about it on my show today, how it would be a perfect distraction and way to implement, essentially the Great Reset. So we'll talk about that on here. We also have Robert F. Kennedy talking about wearing tech. And I don't know if you've heard, and this went under the radar, but a Shia Muslim won the Democratic primary in the state of New York. Steve and I have a very simple solution to all of this craziness. I think you guys have an idea of what that may be. But we like what you guys are doing. Thank you for hanging out with us. Do us a favor, like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell, so you are obviously notified when the show goes live. And so, Steve, what would you like to start off with?
Well, I mean, that whole story that you just brought about New York City. New York City. I think we brought it up a week or two ago. It was the last week or 2 weeks ago, and nobody really. Now all of a sudden, now everyone's talking about it.
News from the viewer. If you want to know what's going on, just give it a week. Because
you said we're at war, but J.D. Thiel said we're not, though.
United States now at war with Iran.
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine, and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership. What we did is we destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. I think we set that program back substantially, and we did it without endangering the lives of the American pilots. That's an incredible thing, and I think we all should be proud. Whatever our politics, we should be proud of what these guys accomplished. A very, very high impact mission under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's nice and everything, but I'm gonna do a screen share real quick here, Steve. And I think I didn't set Steve up for this, but we talked about it on my show. What did he just say? We had a high impact bombing, blah 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 blah. Oh, wait a minute. That's the Israelis saying, by the way, they still have uranium. So everything y'all didn't really do much, but thanks anyway for sending over your bombers and wasting about, what do you think that was, $2 billion, Steve, of made up money to go drop some huge bombs down on an empty facility?
The biggest load he's ever seen.
Biggest load, huge loads, so big. And if you think it's just the Israelis, maybe you're like, well, Rick, it's just the Israelis. It's not that big of a deal, obviously. The Israelis are bloodthirsty and they want to go to war and they want to do all these other kinds of things. Yeah, the problem is what happened, and I've been talking about this on my show, and I hate to say that again and again and again, only because if you watched my show, you know I'm kind of going over the same stuff. But guys, you even have Democratic politicians saying it's still not enough.
Listen, to me, it still appears that we have only set back the Iranian nuclear program by a handful of months. There's no doubt.
Oh, look, a handful of months, Steve, which means what? We got to go in and secure them, buddy.
There was damage done to the program, but the allegations that we have obliterated their program just don't seem to stand up to reason. I just do not think the president was telling the truth when he said this program was obliterated. There's certainly damage done to the program, but there's still significant remaining capability. I walk away from that briefing still under the belief that we have not obliterated the program, that the president was deliberately misleading the public.
Hey, Steve, we have to make sure that Iran can never have the nukes that they still have. We have to make sure of it, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it was as Scott Ritter brought up, it was an act of political theater. I think we mentioned that last week.
We did.
Pretty sure we did.
I know you and I both talked about it at different points. If not, I shared this post on Monday, but it's true. Go right ahead through it.
Yeah, I mean, to say what you want to say about Ritter, here's his tweet, an act of theater. Trump's big mouth had boxed him into a corner. Iran wouldn't play his game, so he had to bomb Iran to save face. He bombed 2 empty facilities that had been previously struck by Israel. He then bounced 6 bombs off an indestructible facility, Firdos, claiming destruction despite the opposite being the case. He said, that's it, a contained strike, a nothing burger. And this was the man whose supporters called the greatest leader of all time. He's a national disgrace. This was one of the, I guess this came out, was it yesterday?
Yeah. Lot of full court press by Trump to try and convince you.
Oh, they are furious. This is supposed to be, this is what happened. And it was actually a test run that they filmed. but they're pushing it like this is actually what happened. Here's a live shot of what happened.
We had cameras in the bombs, and we saw it all.
Yeah. So part of the theater part is, if you ever seen this meme, hey, no, next little day would be sent by a woman. Really makes you be part of history. What happened?
Well, there were a couple of them were women, as you're about to show.
At least one of the B-2 pilots took part in this Iran mission was female, says Fox. Who cares? We had to make a big deal about that. And part of the political theater part was actual theater.
We're being told this is, I think, anywhere from just shy of 200 to 300 feet in depth. There are all kind of reports out there of 1,000 foot, but I think that's more propaganda. So what you end up doing is, if you saw the movie, the latest Top Gun movie, eerily enough, this is that plot kind of coming to fruition in real life.
Raise your hands. When you saw it, you're going theater. Oh, they're taking the script from Top Gun.
It's not just one bomb. It'll be a bomb after a bomb to get through that penetration.
And just lastly, that's what you're talking about. Can penetrate up to 200 feet below the surface. And then, of course, we'll see it try and put the second one in there and go down in there. Yeah. Let's bring in David Burke, our Top Gun and former Top Gun instructor.
Our Top Gun guy. We're going to bring in Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is going to tell us all about it. Tom, how would you have done it?
So,
by the way, if you want to quote Mission Impossible, right?
They pretty much bombed a hole in the ground. That's what the report. And then this report got leaked, and they are ticked after this. So here's Pete, Fox Pete.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump.
Who cares if it's true or not?
Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope
they weren't
maybe
ethical.
They weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented him isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots were successful. How many stories have been written about how hard it is to, fly a plane for 36 hours?
Isn't that their job?
Has done that story? Has Fox? Have we done the story how hard that is? Have we done it
job.
2 or 3 times so that American people understand? How about how difficult it is to shoot a drone from an F-15 or 16 or F-22 or F-35? Or what it's like to man a Patriot battery? Or how hard it is to refuel midair? Giving the American people an understanding of how complex and sophisticated this mission really was.
Protests greatly.
There are so many aspects of what our brave men and women did that because of the hatred of this press corps are undermined because your people are trying to leak and spin that it wasn't successful. It's irresponsible. And folks in this room are privy to that information because of the proximity here in the Pentagon. It's an important responsibility. And time again, classified information is leaked or peddled for political purposes to try to make the president look bad. And what's really happening is you're undermining the success of incredible B-2 pilots and incredible F-35 pilots and incredible refuelers and incredible air defenders who...
So here's the story on it.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We have major breaking news into CNN. 3 sources tell CNN that according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment, the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last weekend did not destroy the core components of the country's nuclear program and likely only set it back a few months.
That's right. So this is an assessment that actually is out from the Defense Intelligence Agency. That is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it was based on a battle damage assessment conducted by U.S. CENTCOM after the strikes, according to one of the sources. Let's go to CNN national security correspondent Natasha Bertrand, who has this exclusive new reporting. This is to that question that has been asked about how much damage has been done. This is a real question. It's also a political question that has been to something that Donald Trump has been sort of dealing with here recently. What are you learning, Natasha?
Yeah, look, Brianna, this is the first assessment that we are getting that the U.S. intelligence community has found about the battle damage that resulted from those U.S. military strikes on these 3 Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend. And as you said, it was produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is the Pentagon's intelligence arm. And it is worth noting that it is a very early assessment. The strikes were only a matter of days ago, and the intelligence community is still gathering intelligence. They are still working to come up with a full, comprehensive picture of what exactly happened.
Every time they say intelligence, they'll think of Team America intelligence. But again, they didn't have, obviously they didn't have the what they said they did, which of course they went after Tulsi for, and then Tulsi changed her mind, so she became the modern day Colin Powell with the holding the anthrax up. They go in, they already know because they had film of the trucks leaving, taking everything away. They knew they were bombing, they were bombing the ground. They spent how many, as you brought up, I think you're still muted. I see your mouth moving with no words are coming out.
That's what everyone wants to see. I want to see my mouth moving, not coming out. Real quick, because Trump told them, Steve, right? Trump told them it was going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So he spent a couple $100 million because they dropped a lot of the ordnance.
Steve, you're looking
just
at
to put a hole in the ground.
You're looking at a couple billion there.
Yeah. So everyone's going to be going, all right, what you just spend taxpayer money on? Not just the bombs, but the planes that were used, because, well, I'll get into more of that because that wasn't the first time they tried that. But here's more of this treasonous stuff.
About with this leaked intel report.
Well, it goes without saying that leaking that type of information, whatever the information, whatever side it comes out on, is outrageous. It's treasonous. So it ought to be investigated, and whoever did it, whoever's responsible for it, should be held accountable. It could hurt lives in the future. Leaking is a completely unacceptable thing. But let me give you.
Spoke to the President of the United States. I have some new information and breaking details to share about tonight's what is historic air campaign. Now, tonight, Iran's nuclear ambitions, they are officially dead. It appears the United States just completely obliterated.
See, I mean, if you're running with one and you're going to play that game the whole way, you're going to go down with the ship.
Iran's top secret Fordow nuclear facility with 6 huge bunker buster bombs. It was originally speculated that you would only need 2. It turns out they used 5 to 6.
Took bits and pieces from a leaked top secret intelligence report. And by the way, I understand the FBI is investigating who was the source of that leak because it's an illegal leak to CNN. And this is the same fake news CNN reporter who wrote the story alleging that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation.
So you have to go, we're going to, personal attacks. Can't be, hey, is this true? No, they won't answer that. I mean, even was it the DJT and the 3 horsemen got up, they were all upset. Do I have that clip? I thought I did. Maybe I don't. And Trump yells at the lady
when he was at NATO and he was yelling at him. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's Rubio.
Americans at home who are going, are we at war? You know, I'm trying to suss out some of the facts here. So why would Iran agree to any peace deal if the United States has already pulled out of one that they had, as President Trump did in 2018, and now has launched 2 surprise attacks? Both Israel and the United States have done so. Those
are easy, bold questions, though, for them to. Truthful, you're not going to hear Fox bring that up. You're not going to hear the cheerleaders bring that up, but he did that.
Such a massive trust deficit there. How could you possibly come
but the trust deficit started with Iran.
Before he goes any further, I just want to bring up his point that Steve brought up the other day, is that Trump gave him 2 weeks, and then the next day he bombed him.
Yeah,
right,
dude. Didn't we say that on air? Yeah, he's giving us 2 weeks. I think you and I.
You said it.
We wouldn't be shocked if it happened this weekend.
Yep.
I know.
Well, the trust deficit, the ones that shouldn't be trusted are the Iranians because they're the ones that sponsor terrorism. Did they forewarn us before they blew up the embassy in Lebanon?
So don't answer the question. Go right to all this other stuff.
And killed over 200.
Go ahead.
100 American servicemen. Did they forewarn us before they built IEDs and blew the legs and arms off of American servicemen in Iraq?
Yeah, you bring up the Iraq thing where U.S. went illegally into another sovereign country and the defense. So it'd be like, you ever seen the movie Wolverine?
Yeah.
Wolverines. When the Chinese come and invade the state.
You mean Red Dawn?
Was it Red Dawn?
Yeah, they were the Wolverines in Red Dawn.
Maybe, yeah.
The
And
high
a
school was
bunch
the
of high school kids.
Yeah, the high school was the Wolverines. That's why they called them
Yeah,
themselves.
and
Yes,
they are the terrorists because they're defending their own land and going after the Chinese. I mean, it was a cruel movie because they swapped the plays around. We are the ones going into other people's homes.
Yep.
I mean, these are the people that are doing this forever. They're the ones that no one should trust. They're the ones that have lied about their nuclear program.
But
they're the ones that have hidden things from the international organisms.
But that sounds like we're headed towards regime change, or the desire to get these people out of power.
No.
Are you?
No. A serious foreign policy is one that's focused on identifying what our national interest is. You don't have to like the regime. There are a lot of regimes around the world that.
He keeps on blah 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 blah, and he knows all the cheerleaders going, "Oh, no regime change, no regime change."
Yep.
And then Trump comes out with a tweet going, "Maybe regime change." And then seconds after Trump puts out about "Make Iran Great Again" or something like that, you have the Shaw's kid.
When this regime disappears, everything changes instantaneously, and I know a lot of people are already excited about the prospect of being able to help us rebuild our country and make Iran great again.
Yep. And then because they used the same stuff that they used in Iraq. The people will rise up. The people will do it, Steve. The people will rise up and do it. And it's like they said the same thing, but just like the people in Syria, Afghanistan, Libya, Iraq, Afghanistan, on and on and on and on. And you're going back and forth, and some Catholics are trying to do this under just war theory. And it's like, you need to reread just war theory, because nothing that happened in the last 3 weeks even comes close to just war theory, because Iran poses. Here's the thing. Iran was Schrodinger's threat. They could have nukes, Steve, and destroy us, but at the same time, they're a paper tiger, and we can just steamroll them whenever they want. So which one is it? Are they a threat that we have to take seriously, or can we just steamroll them? Third point, Iran is not a direct threat to these United States. They're a threat to Israel. I don't care if they're a threat to Israel. Israel's not the U.S. They have an outside influence here, but they're not.
Well, here's trivia. Name the country that Iran has invaded in the last 50 years. What is zero? I mean, someone's like, I'm worried about Iran. No, I'm worried about the federal government. Those guys are the ones making your taxes go up, making inflation go up, making your life hell. It's DC. It's the people that are over there saying you got to be afraid of those guys, the camel jockeys, they used to call them. Those, it was like, what do we care about Iran? Which, everyone was losing their minds when Iran lobbed a couple bad rockets over to ours. But here, as DJT said,
yep,
it's not playing. It's not
playing.
That were 14 missiles we shot at us the other day, and they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, we're going to shoot them. Is 1 o'clock okay? They said, it's fine. And everybody was emptied off the base, so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners. They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar, all 14, as you know, were shot down by our equipment. Amazing stuff. Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said, do you do that well often? They say, we pretty much do, sir.
So translation, when hey, we're gonna bomb you guys just because we have to. We're gonna go ahead and get everyone off. We're gonna use some crap missiles, shoot them down if you want, do whatever you want with them. We're just doing it for PR stats right here. So it was political theater the entire time.
And that's kind of what I was going to I've been saying for the last couple of weeks. Iran has been making overtures to the U.S. for peace because they're trying to get Trump to restrain the Israelis. They think that Iran is going to the U.S. for protection from Israel. People look at me strange when I say that, but who is the dog that's off the leash on here? It's Israel. Israel started this whole thing with their strikes on day 61. They're the ones who are bloodthirsty to go into Iran, and the Iranians are the ones who have held restraint. So, people don't like it when you try to point these things out. Israel's the ones that, they're sending rockets everywhere. They're firing off. They're the ones that killed nuclear scientists and members of the delegation that Trump was supposedly negotiating with on that first strike. They did all of these things, and Iran's like, yeah, we'll shoot some stuff back because we're kind of under threat here, and we're kind of under attack. But Trump, if you can like step in here, and that's why Trump was like, listen, I'll bomb Fordo, take all your stuff out. But if and this is what I've kind of come to the conclusion, see, in Trump's head, he's like, all right, the Israelis are just nuts right now. They're bloodthirsty. If I can get the Iranians to get their stuff out of Fordo, I'll bomb some empty sites. I'll go back to the Israelis and I'll say, look, Fordo's destroyed. The whole thing for your war is done. Okay. But Israel is desperate. And what I've been saying is Trump's mistake in this whole scenario, Steve, was giving Israel a little bit of the taste of war with Iran. He opened up the Pandora's box by doing any military action. Because now these are like, oh, well, there's still stuff there, Trump. We're still in danger over here, Trump. You need to bomb more stuff, Trump. And that's why he's like, they don't know what the blank they're doing.
Yeah, well, that because they kept lobbing because I guess he didn't think a tweet was an official document that went to the head of the state, because he put out tweet, there's a ceasefire, and apparently the Iranians didn't get that tweet, or they might not be on True Social or something.
I don't think True Social is huge in Iran.
What do you expect, dude? But still, I mean, there was a lot of guys. I mean, Judge Knapp called it a war crime.
The United States did was profoundly unconstitutional, absolutely unlawful, was an impeachable offense, and was a war crime. Under our Constitution, only the Congress can declare war, not the president. And Congress can only declare war on a country that poses an immediate and grave military threat to the United States of America. President Trump has started a war with Iran, which poses no threat, let alone immediate or grave whatsoever, to the national security of the United States of America. Under an unconstitutional statute, but still the law, the War Powers Resolution, the president is required to give notice to Congress and give Congress an opportunity to respond before he attacks a foreign country. He can carry out the response, but he has to tell Congress and give Congress an opportunity to respond. He not only ignored the Constitution, he ignored that law. As unconstitutional as it is, it hasn't been tested by the courts. It is still the law. The president ignored it. Killing people and destroying property in another country without a just cause is a war crime. It is the moral and legal equivalent of a high crime and misdemeanor. It is an impeachable offense. And it is time for the American public and the Congress.
And no one's going to do anything. I think one of the war crime things is you got 60 days to do anything.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, you had people like Steve Bannon. Cunningham and I are not fans of Bannon, but he's been one of the few that's like, nope, don't do this, Trump. Don't do the regime change. You got to stop listening to these people. You're getting dragged into all this kind of stuff. So a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while, and you got to give Bannon credit on that one, that he's been a very loud opponent of this entire thing. And I just think Trump has just been dragged into it. Steve and I said this from the moment the Israelis struck, and we covered it live on this program, that the Israelis, their whole thing was to drag these United States into another war with Iran, because the line of thinking is going to be, yeah, the strikes were good. Lindsey Graham even said it. I have the video. I don't know if you all want to watch Lindsey Graham or not, but Lindsey Graham said, we blew up Fordo, but that doesn't mean that they're all gone, guys. They're still there. There's still other things there that we are responsible for. And we have to make sure that those sites aren't there anymore. So
he found some.
Hold on, I got Lindsey here real quick.
The program was obliterated at those 3 sites, but they still have ambitions. I don't know where the 900 pounds of highly enriched uranium exists, but it wasn't part of the target set.
Are you concerned that in light of that several years, when the administration is saying it's obliterated, it suggests that they're not able to build a weapon. You're saying in several years, perhaps they'll be able to.
That's what I'm saying. They're obliterated today, but you can reconstitute it.
Yeah, see, you can rebuild it, guys. You got to go in and secure these sats.
If they don't build a bomb now, I think they're dumb. I mean, if you wanted them to happen, you gave them you did what you were supposed to do for them to do. I mean, not for no defense, because they're wanting to go in and say you have nothing, you can't use it for energy, you can't use it for this, you can't do that. Like, which everything they're doing is totally legal.
And the thing is that the Iranians look around the Middle East. Gaddafi gave up his nukes. Yeah, but Gaddafi. Iraq did the same thing, and they got steamrolled as well. So if you're the Iranians, you're like, we absolutely need it, because they haven't steamrolled into North Korea, because North Korea has nukes. So it's literally a matter of national survival. And of course, they rain down upon you, Steve. I can't believe you want the Iranians to have a nuke. I can't believe you want the Iranians to have a nuke.
Yeah,
whatever,
you talk to people, they're just zombies. It's like the muzzles and a face mask again. It's the same mindset. It's the 2 weeks to plan the curve mindset in this whole Iran thing. And Iran, like you said, they didn't retaliate right off the bat. Like people, if that happened to U.S., who shot us? Bombed everybody.
We would have shot everybody. We'd have bombed everybody just to make sure.
Freaking the globe would have been lit up, just because of what happened. No, Iran, they even though it was kabuki theater in a sense, they talked to China. They ended up talking to Russia. Putin said he was going to come in and talk to everyone. All this. You see, Putin said talking about Israel. He goes, most of them speak Russian.
Yeah.
It's great when you cut the TV off of what your approved news and the cheerleaders and all that. You get a better stance. But like what I was bringing up, that Trump did find some WMDs. Where did I put it? Here it is. Trump announced that he has evidence Thomas Massie is only weeks away from acquiring nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
That was a great post that they had. On a serious note, America and Israel's military is war gamed tonight. This was last week. Tonight's attack on Iran a year ago under Brandon. So maybe this audience probably heard that before, saw me retweet it. Raise your hand if you saw Fox bring this up, or DC Drano, Human Events, anybody. Did they bring this up? No. Brandon, the incompetent boob, apparently. U.S. and Israel has practiced this attack in a military exercise about a year ago. A source in Israel with direct knowledge of the matter confirmed to ABC News. That exercise was unprecedented because it war-gamed offensive actions against Iranian nuclear capabilities for the first time, according to the source. This was first planned under the Brandon administration, according to the source, who said, but we did not think a year ago that this would happen.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Steve. Why don't you think it would have been actually better for Biden if they did this under him, because it would have distracted from everything else that was going wrong for him? Why didn't they do it then? Why did they wait for Trump?
I don't know. I mean, get the base on their side, the base. I don't know. I would just say just because the guy's in charge, you already know he was leaving. You're not going to get anybody from the GOP upset about it. The Democrats love it. They're all fine. Everyone likes doing it anyways because it is.
We're warlike people, man. We love war. We're bloodthirsty.
It's for Israel anyways. So they all love it.
That's why I'm saying I'm surprised. My misogynistic take is the reason it didn't happen is because it was a bunch of women running the White House. If there was any dudes in the White House, they would have probably bombed the crap out of Israel. They would have gone with Operation Wag the Dog. They would have done anything they could to distract from the fact that Joe Biden was just staring at a wall for 24 hours a day.
Yeah. I mean, here's another one.
The media is going to tell you this, but the decision to bomb Iran didn't just happen on a whim. Okay, according to reports, the U.S. and Israel practiced today's attack on Iran in military exercises a year ago. Who was president a year ago? Oh yeah, it was Joe Biden. Quote, Israel and the United States practiced conducting airstrikes on Iranian nuclear facilities during the Biden administration. An Israeli source with direct knowledge of the matter confirmed to ABC News on Sunday morning. Now it all makes sense. Why not 2 weeks ago, Democrat leader Chuck Schumer was basically goading Trump into attacking Iran.
When it comes to negotiating with the terrorist government of Iran, Trump's all over the lot. One day he sounds tough, the next day he's backing off. And now, all of a sudden, we find out that Witkoff and Rubio are negotiating a secret side deal with Iran. What kind of bull is this? They're going to sound tough in public and then have a side deal that lets Iran get away with everything? That's outrageous.
Yeah, the one thing everybody needs to understand is that war is bipartisan. And if you want peace, you have to look outside the two-party system.
And I think was it Rubio? Yeah, Rubio said that they knew the exact day they were going to attack back in March. So again, all this stuff between March and then theater, like you said, oh, we're going to give a delay. We're doing this. They got till this. No, they knew exactly when we were going to do it, which goes back to that CNN lady's question. Was it State of the Union or it was CBS?
It
or
was Face the Nation or one of those. It was one of those.
Her question about where's the trust. There ain't no trust in anybody in the world for this admin right now. It can't be.
Why would you? I mean, why would you when you know that it's a bunch of bloodthirsty warmongers that are essentially running it? And you can't say with a straight face that Israel does not have an outside influence over our foreign policy and our foreign policy decisions. So
I mean, here's Bassler. He brings up the bankroll by Marian Adelson, who we brought up before many times about, $100 million to, do the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, which is still going on.
It actually happened today. There were reports about the Israelis going after one of the few Catholic settlements.
Yeah.
And Christian settlements. And Steve, they were getting so mad, the Israelis, during this 12-day war, when people are like, well, what's about Gaza? Gaza's a different story. It's like, no. It's not. It's the exact same thing. You guys can't bomb Gaza into a parking lot and then run to the U.S. and cry because a building got blown up. And by the way, you guys hide your stuff in the same civilian population that you told us Hamas were animals for doing the exact same thing. You put your hotels, your military headquarters in the middle of Tel Aviv or whatever, and then it gets blown up. Like, oh, look at these innocent people. It's like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, here's Trump tells the Post, I always knew the date for Israel attack on Iran. I mean, because I know everything. It was in a brief phone interview.
I know all of it, Steve. I know all of it. I know what I'm doing. They may not, but I do. I know it all. At least
they
that's
knew about what they do. Again, if you can't, how do you read that and go, yeah, we're in the most transparent admin ever. I mean, they're literally saying, we're not at war, but bombs are flying, right? War is peace, ignorance is strength. 1984. Here's one for you. Here's going back to the one clip. He made Marco Rubio Secretary of State, which Rubio was supposed to be VP, but no, that didn't happen because the deep state didn't want that. JT Thiel in there for that one.
Yep. Peter
Thiel's cabinet. The entire cabinet's Israel war hawks. Extended Obama's $38 billion military aid deal. Approved $54 billion in new arms deals to Israel. They said, gee, who would have seen this coming?
Yep.
Who would have thought that DJT and Jeb Bush are now friends?
Mike Pence is all back on board with stuff too.
Yeah.
Mike Pence is back on board.
You get some bombs going up in there and start doing most favored nations bidding. The boys are back in town, baby.
Absolutely. And it's very important that all your politicians, Steve, pledge their allegiance to Israel. They all have to. They cannot. Because if they don't pledge their allegiance to Israel, it's going to be a big deal. Because I mean, for goodness sakes, the governor of the great Republic of Texas has pledged his support to Israel multiple times.
He can't be more Israel than Israel.
mean, he's not even Texas. He's not even Texas second. He's Israel first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then Texas seventh. It's absolutely crazy the amount of times.
We'll come back to the war thing just for a second, just because you brought that up. Here's the New York City. Here's the big issue in New York City was Israel.
Given the hostility and the anti-Semitism that has been shown in New York, I
We played this a couple weeks ago for anybody, just if you haven't seen it.
Shown in New York, I would go to Israel.
Mr. Tilson, where would you go?
Yeah, I'd make my 4th trip to Israel, followed by my 5th trip to Ukraine, 2 of our greatest allies fighting on the front lines of the global war on terror.
Mr. Mamdani.
I would stay in New York City. My plans are to address New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs and focus on that.
Mr. Mamdani, can I just jump in? Would
How dare
you visit Israel as mayor?
I will be doing, as the mayor, I'll be standing up for Jewish New Yorkers, and I'll be meeting them wherever they are across the 5 boroughs, whether that's in their synagogues and temples or at their homes or at the subway platform, because ultimately...
I mean, they crucify him. They go after him because of that. He's the guy that ended up winning the...
He's the one who won because support for Israel is absolutely cratering.
Yeah,
and no matter
if
what
anybody
they
thinks
do,
that DJT and Bibi aren't BFF still, where it is,
right? Yeah, they still are.
Yeah, he's over there saying, you got to what in the translation of this, Bibi Netanyahu's trial should be canceled immediately, or pardon given to a great hero who has done so much for the state. No, but hey, good pick on there. Notice everyone calls Israel the state of Israel. State equals country. Israel is a country. Israel state, the state of Israel. Can people in Georgia start calling it the state of Georgia? It's the country of Georgia. Just throwing it out there. If it's a state, if Israel's a state, so is Georgia, so is North Carolina, so is California, and that means country. So get that back in your head. But
by the way,
he's out there LARPing for Bibi right now.
Just real quick, and it's not just Trump, it's everybody.
Pride of being able to be here and do work takes making things better for people. And in the greatest country on earth, next to Israel.
Did you see the panic, Steve, in her eyes for about 30 seconds for a half a second when she forgot to say the line? Great. Except Israel too. Israel too. Please don't take me out. Please don't take me out.
I mean, that's not too crazy because remember the RNC convention, they too was American. They had Israel flags up. It was Israel first, I think it was named. I mean, they did. It was just. I mean, I watched a couple clips. I didn't sit there and watch the whole thing, but it was a brown nosing for Israel. I mean, it was all in. Used to be, if you were this bad, like Hetzek and all these guys, Rubio Ford, you weren't getting a good seat in that. Now it's a requirement. You have to kiss Israel's tail just to get mentioned in these jobs.
Yeah, you have to absolutely to get consideration. And so it's absolutely, and people get mad about these things, but it's not. If you just do minimal, if you go 1 degree below the surface, all this stuff comes up.
Mm-hmm.
If you, and the fact that it's ingrained, they're our greatest ally. They're our greatest ally. They're our greatest ally. It's like, well, they're really not. They're really not. And I hear people on like Timcast and other places well, why do you think that? Well, if Muslims take control of the Holy Land, they won't let Christians in. And it's like, well, I mean, right now it's pretty hard for Christians to get into the Holy Land with Israel in control of it.
Yeah, Israel's killing Christians, right? What are you talking about?
So it's like you're not getting much difference on any of that. But
here's just a little extra on there. The U.S. Navy used munitions at alarming rate to intercept Iranian missiles fired at Israel. The U.S. used SM-3 interceptors, which cost between 10 and 30 million per missile. So,
but don't worry, guys. Inflation's going down, even though we're blowing money all over the place to make sure that Israel's okay.
And just in case one quote unquote war wasn't enough, U.S. launches 2 more airstrikes in Somalia.
Well, we're still trying to get back at them for Black Hawk Down. So,
yes, the never ending.
We're never going to forgive them for that one. So because Somalia is a huge threat. Somalia is a huge threat on the on these people. Once again, guys, the idea is who is a threat to these United States? That's where war comes in. This idea that we have the ability to, and we're allowing to. Sorry, Danny boy. I know it's it can be frustrating watching all this, and we appreciate you stopping by. I get that it's frustrating. It's frustrating.
Sorry,
Steve,
it's going to get uglier.
It's frustrating to us because we are literally just the errand boy for another country, and young men and women are being put. And that's what people like myself and Steve and others were screaming. When this whole thing started, it's like, you don't know what's going to happen. Young men and women from these United States are going to have to go and die for somebody else's war. There's no threat to these United States for us.
Here's some of Gaza we brought up. They ran up the Hunger Games in Gaza. 400 killed, over 3,000 wounded in Gaza aid program. Starving civilians gather in massive crowds, waiting for permission to approach. In many instances, Israeli troops then open fire on the masses, and even during distribution itself, killing dozens. They try to collect a few kilos of flour or canned goods to bring home to what Palestinians have dubbed the Hunger Games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's and Pope Leo has come out and he's just like, this is ridiculous, guys. Can everybody just please stop? Can everybody just please stop here? And he got a little bit of pushback for his tweets saying like, hey man, most of the time war doesn't have a positive outcome. So look, can we like not do it? And of course the bloodthirsty Americans are like, we gotta fight. We gotta play the Toby Keith song and start running some bombs on these people. And it's like
Hurricane Ridge,
right? I mean, I'm sure they were playing that in the V2s when they were flying over.
Well, I mean, the women are piling. They might have something else going. It might be
Taylor Swift.
I was thinking Taylor. I was thinking Tay. Yes.
Yeah, they were playing a little Shake It Off. Where they were dropping these bombs.
You don't look at you knowing the CDs. I didn't know that.
Hey, my wife was a Swiftie for a couple years, so I have to know these things.
Well, because fear porn is in there. Remember, again, this goes back to the 2 weeks of flattening the curve thing that somebody brought up earlier, the sleeper cells. Now, this is from the double aughts.
We're always concerned about sleeper cells. We're going to ensure that we focus on sleeper cells.
Mayor Adams taking seriously warnings from Washington that Iran could activate sleeper cells here to seek retribution for the bombings. Rebecca Weiner, NYPD Commissioner of Intelligence and Counterterrorism, tells CBS News New York her agency has been on alert for days.
We are doubling down on our efforts. We are doubling down on reaching out to partners internationally, federally, doubling down on all of the monitoring that we are doing.
This as the bombing became topic A on the campaign trail for those seeking to win a Democratic mayoral primary. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo also warning that something could happen here.
As a New Yorker, my natural instinct,
you loser,
former governor, former HUD secretary, New York should get ready for possible reprisal by.
Yes. That issue particularly, how many Iranians are in the country that are in sleeper cells trying to do bad to America right now?
Now,
too bad.
Terrible as that was, question. Think about
how many too bad is this going to be?
Think about, they're asking about who was the last administration. He was apparently an inept human being and apparently had this gigantic plan to have all these sleeper cells come in.
Almost
well,
like it was
you and
set
I
up.
talked about this many times. I said the last 4 years, my biggest concern was this open border was the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. So I pulled numbers this morning just from a CBP under Joe Biden. There was 1,272 nationals of Iran released in the country between OFO and the Border Patrol. And you compare that to the Trump administration, zero. Right, zero releases. And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol was so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created that over 2 million people crossed the border and got away.
I can't listen to Tom anymore. He just throws numbers up, and there's no evidence for anything he really says. But this is one of those, there was people telling people last week, don't go to the store, keep your head on a swivel. Don't
Wear a
go to
mask and distance yourself at 6 feet, and you'll be fine.
pretty much. I mean, there's the whole thing. You're going to kill Granny, so you're going to go out. You might get somebody killed if you don't pay attention. If you go to a store, you go to church, anything like that. So it was just another round of fear porn for the last couple of weeks. I haven't heard anything in the last couple of days, but I'm sure they're going to try to gin that up soon. And maybe because someone's saying, "Oh, Independence Day is coming up," they're going to do. Man, we really just. I mean, sure, if anything happens, it's going to be from DC. It's going to be a false flag, but it ain't going to be Iran, right, by the sleeper cell stuff.
It's a perfect narrative. It's a perfect narrative for a false flag. Because you're seeing the stage being set now, Steve, with the fact that the Iranians still have uranium, and then they set off a false flag, and so we have to go in and we have to exterminate them. We have to get that regime change going.
Not only that, but digital surveillance. What happened?
Brought to you by who?
Brought to you by Palantir, who has the same first letter as Pfizer. Anyway, while everybody was paying attention, look over here at what we're bombing. Last week was something called detachment.
Tech execs from Meta, OpenAI, and Palantir are becoming lieutenant colonels in the Army Reserve. Andrew Bosworth is the CTO of Meta. Shyam Sankar is the CTO of Palantir. Kevin Weil is the CPO of OpenAI. And Bob McGrew is a former OpenAI research chief. This process is what's known as a direct commission. It's when you take a civilian and you place them effectively directly in the Army with minimal training, and you give them a specific job. It happens a lot with medical professionals as well as JAG officers, which are the Army's attorneys. Getting direct commissioned as a lieutenant colonel, though, is very significant. Lieutenant colonel is a rank that does not come about until somebody's been in the Army for about 15 years. It is an exceptionally senior officer rank, and that kind of showcases the level of influence that the Army is placing on these individuals. These individuals will obviously not be leading troops. They'll not have a combat role. The goal is to advise the military on tech modernization. Now, I don't have any inside baseball, any inside knowledge on why this is happening, so I can only speculate. This is all my opinion. But this will grease the grooves for sure as far as tech modernization goes and the ability of the Army to innovate and bring new tech within the ranks. The military does things slow. It is not a joke. We really do everything very slow. And so my guess is that senior DoD officials want the process to speed up as we see the conflicts around the world raging. Specifically, we've seen things moving incredibly fast with drone technology. Their mission will be to help the Army scale drones, AI, VR, robotics, and other commercial tech into the ranks. They're going to go through a very abbreviated training course where they're going to learn some of the nuances of Army culture, and from what I'm reading, they will be required to maintain marksmanship and fitness standards that the Army has. Normally, direct commissioning takes 6 weeks, but due to the nature of these individuals' positions in the civilian sector, I believe that is probably why that they will be going through an abbreviated course. This is all part of the Army's transformation initiative, which is prototyping tech-heavy platoons. This is a fairly massive shift because my entire career, which has spanned, about 13 years, coming up on 14 years, the focus on analog systems, because we know tech could go down, that's always been the highlight. We need to be able to operate off of physical maps, using physical acetate and markers. We need to be able to battle track and plan off of analog systems. So this is a deviation from that. I'm definitely curious to hear what you think in the comments. Is this going to be a gateway for more tech execs to get into the Army, to get integrated with the military? Is this something that's going to flop? What do
The Pentagon has awarded OpenAI a $200 million deal to build advanced AI tools for military and national security use. The AI prototypes will support both battlefield and enterprise operations, with development based near Washington through 2026. OpenAI now boasts a $10 billion annual run rate and is seeking up to $40 billion in new funding at a $300 billion valuation.
Recent U.S. policy encourages a competitive AI market but exempts military applications, giving defense projects like this full clearance.
Are kinds of national security related work that OpenAI wouldn't do. And for instance, you know, would OpenAI help the Pentagon develop a new weapon system?
I will never say never, because the world could get really weird, and at that point you sort of have to look at what's happening.
All these guys are so freaking weird.
You know, like, let's
Bunch
make
of
a
nerds.
trade-off among some really bad options, which you all have to do all the time. Thankfully, we don't. I think in the foreseeable future, we would not do that. And but I think there are like really wonderful things we can and are doing together. I don't think most of the world wants AI making like weapons decisions.
I mean,
well, that happened last week. So when everyone was hyper-focused on bombs, OpenAI and military are now working together. They got this big thing. It's called detachment. Look it up, type it up, look it in. You're not going to find it too often unless you do a search. And very, very, very few people have actually brought this up or talked about it. I think Derek Brose is doing an interview on it right as we speak, or did it an hour ago. So that would be a good resource for anybody to watch. It'll be on Last America Vagabond. We'll have that interview, and I'm guaranteed there's going to be 100 different links to look at as well. So look at that, because again, that's something that they didn't want you to watch. And as Rick said, something about the Great Reset.
Au bout de ça, on parle de puces qu'on pourra s'implanter. Ce sera quand ça?
Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos...
So he's talking about wearables, right?
The way that they live their lives. We think that wearables are a key to the Maha agenda, making America healthy again. And we are going to, my vision is that every American is wearing a wearable within 4 years.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
That's right.
Good
Robert,
night,
thank you,
everybody.
buddy. We're going to make sure I implant these things right down your throat.
Good night, everyone. Again,
the first
goes back
person who's
to-
going to get an implant is me, so I can fix my stupid voice.
Rick, if that doesn't show how we were talking about how Trump has to come in for that specific thing, because if Brandon did it, everyone was that. I mean, that's evidence number A
1,207.
Dude, rest our case here. Just play this. That's why.
Why don't we'll just replay shows from the from the summer of last year, and we'll just put a different date in front of it.
I mean, good, great, googly moogly. Yeah, more winning. Maha apparently means we need all your data, because that's what it's by the frequency, the MRE, the EMFs from wearables are pretty high already. Some people doesn't worry them, but if some people, they get a little burning on their arm, right? That's why you don't put your cell phone next to your ear. Sometimes you feel your head's getting hot.
Yeah,
because the EMFs. That's why they make EMF things. Some you got these guys with the Bluetooth, and the EMFs are going straight in your heads. Never do that. Just use a wire or a cord that has a wire, that has something in it to block it. But yeah, and you talk about healthy. Oh yeah, let's fry our brains. I'm tired of all the winning.
It's so much fun. I love it. It's great. It is so much fun. All the winning. Yeah. So the wearables, the fact that all these things are happening, the fact that now if you want to come to the US, you have to give all your social media.
Yeah.
If you want to get a visa here, you have to show all your social media, which by the way, they have anyway.
What's the timeout phase in this experiment go on? They're like, wait, One doggone minute. We're 6 months into this. We're lying about bombing people. We're bombing people, but not bombing people. We're lying about the bombing of bombing people. We got ethnic cleansing going on. That actually happened. No one cares about. We're bombing other people. And then you got to open it. You got Skynet just went into the military. Now it won't be Skynet to the point of, you can't unplug it and it has some kind of lifespan inside it. But shoot, when that thing's plugged in, it can do things.
And don't worry, they're connected to all your cars. It'll be connected to all your vehicles. So
it goes into the whole idea. So we know the whole closing the strait thing. Everybody was losing it because if they close it, we brought up that gas is going to go up. Well, gas went up anyways. It's $3 here. Gas is down. You see all the cheerleaders. Gas is down. $3 there now. But you got I saw on Amazon they're promoting their EVs.
The Slate, right? The Slate vehicle, the $20,000
Nissan.
truck.
Yeah, Nissan something.
No, I mean Slate is a company from Jeff Bezos. It's an electric truck. We talked about it. I brought it up a couple weeks ago. So this right here, if you don't mind, Steve, I'll show it real quick. This came out. This was announced a couple weeks ago, and the big thing is this is a $20,000 electric vehicle. That's its big thing. It's a little Ford Ranger-esque truck, all EV. It's customizable. It's whatever you want to call it. You can either do it an SUV or a truck or any of these other things. And
Cherry Bomb's got a cool name to it, though.
Yeah, it's under 20 grand after the rebate. So it's designed to get all these people that can't afford, all these people that can't afford anything right now, can't afford cars, can't afford houses. Well, they'll be able to afford this electric truck, Steve. And don't worry, it's only got 150-mile range. So when you're in your 15-minute city, you don't have to worry about going anywhere. But it's all electric. It's all electrified.
It's electric. Woogie, 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 woo.
Yeah, it's all electrified and it's all ready for you to design and get it.
I mean, under 20 grand, that's appeasing a lot of people. I mean, I don't drive much.
That's what I'm saying.
Like 20 grand is cheap.
For people who just work, a lot of people work from home now, Steve, so they don't have to worry about that. A lot of people in the city, they don't have a lot of space for them. A lot of people 21 to 26 can't afford a new car because they're all 35, 40,000 to begin with. So Amazon, Jeff Bezos owns it. It's not his company. He has a huge share in it. He comes out and he's like, here's a $20,000 truck, guys. You can design it however you want and we'll deliver it to you. And there you go. It's now people will be like, well, I don't like electric vehicles, but I need a car for 20 grand. I can at least have something. And there you go. It's almost like it's all set up, Steve. It's almost like it's all planned. It's almost like News from the Pew has been telling you about this kind of stuff. Oh, the Cybertrucks are too expensive. There are other ones out there, guys. They'll figure out a way to make them cheap enough.
Yeah, that's no joke. They will get you in something.
They will get you in some kind of electric vehicle. And the Cybertruck was a test run. They're like, oh, look at this one. Everyone's like, oh, that's stupid. I'm not going to drive it. All right, this one looks like a truck. Oh, I love it. I think it's great.
Gas going up. Yeah, as you mentioned, people working at home. You don't need anything. It's $3 a gallon gas in South Carolina, which is cheaper than North Carolina's. And I'm not around any construction. It's the cheapest of the cheapest area too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, what do you think? You're California. Those guys are. They're probably $4 or $5 still.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know where these cheerleaders are getting this idea that gas is down or food's down. I mean, going to any grocery store still, it's going to be $100 just to get 5 things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm being a little different on maybe 5, 10 things. It's going to cost.
If you have 3, 4, or 5 kids, it's almost unlivable.
It's rough.
Yeah, to do so. And if you want to feed them right, if you want to feed them like healthy food, if you want to feed them junk, food prices are down. You can get them all kinds of. I mean, not like McDonald's. McDonald's is going,
like General Mills and all those are getting rid of the artificial dyes.
Yeah.
And I was actually telling my wife, I wonder how many one of the lower income areas how much do they care about that? Because they're going McDonald's. They're still going. I mean, that's not happening until 2027. And you're still going to get the drinks, still going to get the sodas. I mean, nothing that's going to change right there. And you gain, unless even if you grow your own, you can't grow all of it. You can't make all of it.
You got to get the Walmart steaks, Steve.
Walmart steaks?
You got to get the Walmart steaks, buddy.
I haven't afforded. I can't even afford the Walmart steak, but even that, like, I can't believe you gained that. I don't have $100 steak. Sorry. But there's just something's got to give. And the housing market's going to go kaput down, even though New Yorkers are now planning, or they're talking about moving down to Florida again to get out of New York City.
Steve, they're not. The sad thing is they're not going to go to Florida if they're getting out of New York. They're going to the Carolinas. Florida's too expensive for them.
Well, it's crashed. They got $1.5 million homes that they're building, and then no one's buying. Even though I don't know why they're building, but
they pulled all those permits in COVID. They pulled all those, so they were planning to build them regardless, and that's why they're freaking out about immigration, because those are going to be turned into Section 8 housing for H-1Bs, just like what's happening. I don't know if you've kept up with what Mike Lee's been trying to talk about with selling off federal land out in Utah and stuff to help with affordable housing. It's like there's tons of affordable housing everywhere, but what really is happening is Mike Lee's trying to sell it off to one of three entities: BlackRock, Vanguard, or Glenn Beck. I know you all think Glenn Beck's a crazy one. Glenn Beck is a Mormon, so is Mike Lee. Glenn Beck owns a real estate agency called Real Estate Agents I Trust, and there's one huge section of federal land all around his property. It's like acres and acres and acres around it. So when people are like, oh yeah, you should totally sell it back, it's not. No, if they were going to do this in the 50s, I would have been fine with it, because people would have been able to actually buy those plots of land and build on it. Anything that gets sold now, it's going to one of those three entities, and you will never see it. It'll be built apartments and all kinds of things for quote unquote affordable housing, or your H-1B visas, or whatever kind of immigrants that are coming in. And I think Steve's frozen. So that's definitely one of those things we've been thinking about. Now, Mike Lee's gotten a lot of pushback from hunters and hikers and campers, because all that land in the western part of the U.S. is open. A lot of forest preserved land that Mike Lee was looking to get rid of has been pushed back on. Now he says he's trying to rework the bill, but we'll see if that actually works or not. But in the meantime, they're trying to get rid of that stuff, and they're trying to rip as much of your inheritance or your land or just any kind of autonomy. And here in Texas, I know I've said it a bunch of times on the show, Austin is about to crash. Florida's going to crash. Austin's going to crash. Vegas is another one of these places that overbuilds. It always overbuilds, and it's always subject to these things as well. And the problem is that, who's going to buy it? Well, the Chinese have been people that have been coming in and buying up huge plots of land too. Just look at Detroit. Detroit has been bought up multiple times. So how do you get around this? How do you get you just got to get back from it and hopefully go with a theme from this show. And a theme from this show is secession. And it really is one of the, and I know it sounds like a broken record here, but the way things are going, especially when you have what's happening in New York or what's happening in other parts, it really is divorcing from these institutions. Now, New York's whole situation, which I'm thinking we're going to talk about now, the easiest thing for New York to do is upstate New York just needs to divorce from New York City. It just needs to separate and kick them out. Let New York City be its own city state, and then it doesn't matter who's the mayor there. Whoever can be the mayor is whoever's going to be the mayor. If you don't want federal land sold, you know what, Utah, divorce from DC, take it over as state land, and then make so that you can't sell it, right? You got to do all these kinds of things. The time for the time for this balkanization, this time for the reestablishment of federalism, it's going to become more and more clear as the AI technology, as the Great Reset, which I think, Steve, they're going to use the never-ending war in the Middle East as cover for all of that, right? They're going to initiate that, because what happens in war? A lot of good men die, a lot of money is wasted, and change always happens. It's always a marker for change. Change is always initiated during times of war, and it's kind of accepted after that.
No, yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have the CBDC, the digital ID. You can have the digital wall that Trump talked about in 2019. All that stuff is coming in. All they need to do is have one thing go wrong, one thing go there, on our way wrong, their way right, and that'll hurt people. And then they'll just say, you know what? We need some security, and we got to take your liberty for it. So it's just a matter. I mean, the plan is on the table. They probably got the date they're going to do it written down. You brought up New York City. Everyone, their brother right now is fixated on NYC for the mayor thing. And it's funny, like these guys like Gunther, who's from Texas, is in Texas. I can't believe New York's. Who cares?
Well, Gunther's getting paid for that.
Oh, well, yeah, right.
So.
But it's just one of those guys like, if anybody's in their group out there going, I'm losing sleep because what's going on in New York City. Do you live in New York City?
New York City.
The only person I know lives in New York City, I think, is Anthony. I think he lives in New York City. I don't even know if the mayor would have where he lives.
I think he lives in Long Island. I don't know if Long Island's impacted.
Yeah, I don't know if he's part of that where the mayor would be. So who cares? If you don't live there, he doesn't affect you one bit. He would affect you if you go to New York City. You know how many times I plan on going to New York City in the rest of my life? I don't plan on ever going back to New York City. Now, it would be funny if they had John Rocker.
John Rocker should run. He should be
the Republican candidate. That would just bring some hysterical comment to that. Cuomo has said he's going to run for independent now. Now, I will give Grandma Killer Cuomo the benefit of the doubt on that. The stuff they went after him, I think, was bogus. The sexual assault stuff that they have. I don't know much about it except for that I heard that there's a lot of stuff that wasn't kosher, in the sense of there was just a bunch of accusations that came in, and that, just like anything else that you see. I mean, the whole thing with Trump, that was going after Trump and the old mayor from New York, is the same stuff he was getting after. So they just throw pickles, see what sticks, or throw crap at the wall, see what sticks. But yeah, I mean, if you live, I'm outside Charlotte. I care about the mayor of the city that I'm in. I don't, but everyone's so hyper focused, and then they go after. We can't have a Muslim do it. Why not? It's one person said, he won't care about the oath of office. Name a Christian that's doing that.
Name your Catholic. Name a Catholic that's following the oath of office.
Yeah.
I mean, real quick about that too. Primaries are primaries. The extremists always win in the primaries on both sides. In the general, Adams or Cuomo, one of them will drop out, and they'll all coalesce probably around that guy. And even if they don't, Steve, I don't care if New York City falls off a cliff.
Yeah,
I don't.
Is the stuff that he's pushing, I forget his name, is the stuff that he's pushing.
Zohan.
Is it good? No, he's got a bunch of wackadoo stuff. Again, I do not care. It's because I do not live there. But again, it's that Yankee attitude that's not just a Northeastern Democrat Puritan thing. I want everywhere to be ran how I want it to be ran under my conditions. And if it deviates from that, how dare anybody does anything? That's that mindset. And even though it's might be on your team, I don't want Jack's ideas. I don't want Gunther's ideas. They want this movement thing that has not. It's a nice, cute red Republican, Democrat, socialist idea of everyone doing the same doggone thing. Federalism be damned in their ideas. They do not care for that. They do not care about how you live. They care. They want you to live how they want you to live. Taking over Greenland is not the way I want to live.
Nope. By the way, that talk all went away. 51st state and Greenland and Panama and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that kind of disappeared out of nowhere, didn't it?
Did you see the joke about Israel being really upset because of Ukraine being the 51st state, and Israel's like, no, wait, we're the 51st state. And they started getting uppity about it. We got to do something about this.
Yeah, we got to start a war to make sure everybody remembers who really is.
Amy, I haven't mentioned your question. Saying a rosary and you get in, it's there's that line of the only bad rosary is the one you didn't say. Now, if you go in going like, you know what, I'm going to start looking through Sports Illustrated while I say a rosary, totally different thing. But if your mind goes somewhere and you're still saying it and your intention's there and you're trying to get it done, I'm not saying I know what God's mind is, but I haven't heard anything being that bad. I mean, there is that story from St. Louis de Montfort's Secret of the Rosary, where it talks about three girls. They're all sisters, and the youngest girl kind of like rambles it off kind of quick and flippantly and all this. The second youngest does a decent job at doing it, and the third one, the oldest, actually really pays attention, gets into it. And Our Lady shows up to all three of them, and it shows up to the youngest in these rags. And the kid looks horrified. Goes, "My God, what happened? How did you, my lady?" And she goes, "Thank you for these clothes you gave me." Because she mentioned is if we said the rosary the way she did it, it was giving her something, but it was giving her rags. The second youngest, she appeared in like I guess decent clothes, but it wasn't beautiful. Because the oldest, she appeared beautiful, like queen's gown and sparkling and things like this. And she said, "Thank you for this." So, and the moral of the story is all three of the girls, the next time said a rosary, were all in. They're hyper focused on trying to do it right. So it's the idea of you getting your mind right to do it right, just like anything else. If you go in kind of like who cares? I'll just get it done. It's 9:00. I better fit this in 15, 10. I got to get in 10 minutes. Think about that. You're giving her rags versus focus on every word. But if you screw up on one and something pops in your head, you're human. Just get it done and work on the next one better.
Yeah. My response for that, I go where the rosary takes me. If it's a little, maybe there's a reason for it. But we're human. We're gonna do the best we can. And if it is really bad and you're focusing off, good. I'm glad you recognize it and get back onto it. So Our Lady loves the fact that you're doing it. She loves it. So she's not going to punish you. It's not like you're going to get punished for not doing it right, because there's no obligation in the church to do it, right? There's no pain of sin to do the rosary. So you're doing it as an act of love. So that's, and as humans, even when we love somebody or do sometimes we mess it up. Sometimes we just do. And Our Lady, in her infinite love, she loves us no matter what. I always like to tell people that the Holy Mother looks at me as just one of her silly children. Sometimes when I do something silly, I just imagine the Holy Mother just shaking her head, so going, "Oh, Richard, you're just one of my silly ones."
I'm taking your guns, Rick.
You what?
I'm taking your guns, Rick.
Yeah, no. Why have you forsaken me?
The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away.
You know what? I'd have to be like Job. If you take my guns, you take my guns. There's a reason for it. So I'd have to just accept it. And
I got better.
Yeah. Hey, whatever the reason is to it is. So yeah, I mean, it's a good question. So
I just want to bring up, because I got kicked off, the computer died on me when we were talking about it. Yes, he is a socialist. Who's the governor from Alabama back, the conservative governor? Alabama back in the day. 60s.
Oh, Alabama back in the day? I don't know. Are you talking about Wallace?
Wallace, yes. They called him a socialist because he wanted healthcare for the citizens, good school, and he paved the road, things like that. And he's a hyper conservative compared to everyone to talk to right now. So again, I'm not on the not getting a flag and putting it out front for Zoran, how we pronounce it. I probably butchered it, but just saying, again, it's not in your city. Do not care. Try to not get distracted by that, because plenty of other things will be coming to your city that will be affecting you in the not so distant future.
Yeah, I mean, and the only solution to it, guys, is to act locally, reinforce city councils all the way up to your governor as best you can, and maybe mention that might not be a bad time to divorce from DC. And if you're not a part of the union, then it really doesn't matter what happens in New York. It really doesn't matter.
People might have seen one story, but not get the whole idea of it. You might have seen the story about the band being banned indefinitely from all major league ballparks after yelling something about the D-backs second baseman Marte's late mother on Tuesday night's game. And some people will go, "Well, how do you ban somebody from the stadium?" They have facial recognition at every stadium. They can. You don't.
Oh yeah,
It's not
we
like you
talked
can
about
buy
this
a
a while
ticket and
ago.
just get in any gate. It's
Yeah.
not like a sketch or something. They had facial rec so that you can't get into places. So when that gets into the grocery store, anything like that, oh, we don't like your tweet today, or we don't like this. Facial rec everywhere. They watch Person of Interest and see how you like to be on that in that life. That was 15 years ago. Imagine the tech now.
Yeah, I mean, they joked about it at NFL games. Like when they
Yeah.
pan the crowd on those shots, that's all facial tech on that.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah,
all facial tech.
Well, you remember when Leo got elected, and they were going, how did somebody find him in the Yankee White Sox game? Facial recognition.
Yep. Yep. So,
Very
no,
quick.
one person was not scanning through all of those photos.
No. Oh, heck no.
No, nope, not at all. So
But they're going to use that whole thing of, do we not know 9/11 was done by all the Muslims? So go brings in the Muslims, brings in Iran, brings in Saudi Arabia, brings in all. Anything not saying DC. DC is going to be crystal clear, angelic people run DC. It's everyone else that's the bad guy. They're going to make you hate your enemy and make your enemy look like the horrid person that they are because they want you to trust them. Someone brought up Trump has some video today about the Welcome Home Daddy.
Mhm.
Again, shows you everyone thinks president is your father.
Well, remember that's been. I mean, Chris Rock. I remember Chris Rock during the Obama years said something like that. He said, you know, Michelle Obama and Barack Obama are like the mom and dad of the country. So they've been saying that they've been using this. That fat slob who's writing the Spaceball movie, Josh something. Anyway, he wrote a piece talking about how, you know, the when it's always when the Democrats in charge of presidents, the guy who makes the decisions for everybody, and that's why they're there, and blah blah blah. So yeah, it's they've been setting that narrative up for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You got anything else, Steve?
I don't think so. It's getting late, anyways.
What?
It's getting late. I mean, forgot about alligator.
I know there's always one or two things we
Tonight,
forget that you kind
construction
of
is underway deep in the Florida Everglades on a massive migrant detention camp that state officials are calling Alligator Alcatraz. Starting next month, 5,000 migrants will be housed in trailers and heavy-duty tents at this remote abandoned airfield.
As I call it, Alligator Alcatraz.
In a promotional video set to music, Florida's Attorney General lays out what he considers a deterrent for any potential.
So there's obviously some problems about that. I mean, mosquitoes. How do you keep sanitation there? Does it screw up the Everglades? All
Don't matter.
They don't care.
Nope, not at all. Not at all. Because it's cool. Because it's Alligator Alcatraz, man.
Yeah, also have the West Coast Alcatraz and the East Coast Alcatraz ready to roll.
Alcatraz for everybody.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead. Who's your saint and
all right, so my cry room, Bill Gates.
Are kids allowed to be in the cry room?
I don't see why not.
I was just poking at Anthony for all his babies crying posts and all that.
I haven't seen any of that. So from People's Voice, Bill Gates' lab-grown meat causes cancer in humans. Shocking. So anybody who believed that it didn't, you go in the cry room because you're a foolish person and el stupido. And for my Saints of the Week, I'm going to go to Atlanta, and 4 teenagers destroyed the pride flag crosswalk there in Atlanta. Now they're facing up to 10 years in jail for hate crimes. And the reason they're in my they're in my Saints of the Week is because Gen Z, Gen Alpha, all these, these groups behind us are starting to rebel against the LGBT narrative because it's been pushed on them for their entire youth. So we're starting to see the pushback because, if they're going to go after the sacred cows, then I'm good with that. So they're my Saints of the Week.
I'll go start out the Saint of the Week. I'll go with McClanahan posting that because AOC did correctly point out the president's disastrous decision to bomb Iran without authorization is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. She's correct. Brian put up, it is the tendency of all parties when invested with power to disregard constitutional restraints. But when removed from power, they become the most zealous champions of those very limits they had formerly despised. John C. Calhoun quote. And you see that with Gruesome Newsom.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, they find this document that they grow in love. But when they're
the
power,
10th Amendment always makes a comeback when a Republican's in power.
it's amazing how that happens, huh?
Oh, every time. Every time.
Try room. I'm going to go in Omaha this weekend. Coastal Carolina was playing. This was Sunday's game 2. First inning. The coach comes out. There's something. They just stole second. They got a hit. The umpire falls by Casper, the friendly ghost, and then gives him a 2-game. You'll see 2 come up. He gave him a 2-game suspension because the umpire tripped over his legs. And they threw out the coach for the first inning and the first base coach.
Everybody's out. Everybody's gone.
Literally, he's taunting. Remember Naked Gun when he's the umpire. He's throwing, "You're in here."
Yep.
Throws the ump out.
Yep.
And then, I would guess the news of the weird, crazy tone edition is, let's see, this guy.
Chief, this man right here, he's accused of killing New River pastor Bill Shaneman, and he admits to our camera, to our Lauren Clark, that he is responsible for that brutal murder.
He made no bones about it. He says this was part of a plan to kill 14 Christian leaders in 10 states across the country. Lauren Clark now joins us live to explain, and we've got to warn you up front, these details are disturbing.
Well, John and Ellen, first of all, before I go into the details of that interview, I want to start with the man who is the victim in this case. I think that is super important. Pastor Bill Shaneman, he was beloved in his community. This was a man, according to people who knew.
He admitted that he was about to kill 2 priests at the Chapel of the Holy Cross in Sedona before he was arrested by police.
The day that I was going to execute that priest, I tried getting into the back of his car, and there was like an older lady that was on like a small little bicycle that got into my way. And I was just going to get into the back seat and tell him to drive to his house.
I asked if Adam was ever victim.
So, I mean, this guy ended up crucifying that pastor. Then he went after 2 Catholic priests afterwards. But we're talking about news of the weird in a sense, too. But, Amy, that was the College World Series game, Coastal Carolina, Louisiana, LSU. Easy to find. You just type it in on X or anything like that. Coastal Carolina coach ejected. You'll find 40,000 videos of it. You won't find anything on detachment from the OpenAI military. You'll find about 10 or 15, but you'll find thousands on that. Anyways, you're muted.
Priorities, Steve.
Yes.
Priorities. And as far as with the Christian, Catholics, stay armed. Just, it's okay. You can be armed. All right, folks, that's it for this episode of the News from the Pew. Please like, subscribe, and share the News from the Pew. If you like my opinions, you can catch me on Rickcast every evening, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Central. All you got to do is type in Rickcast on X. You'll see my beautiful face on the thumbnail. And you can also check out Rickcast Reviews. I will have a review tomorrow for the film F1 starring Brad Pitt. That will be tomorrow afternoon around 4 p.m. Central Time. I'll drop that review. You can just type in Rickcast Reviews there as well. And if you'd like to know more about guns and Catholics, you can Google the Armed Catholic, the Catholic Case for Guns and Self-Defense, which you can get at Barnes & Noble and other great retailers that, sell it. And if you'd like to support Steve, download the Census Fidelium app. Download the Census Fidelium app. That's Steve's way. It's like his subscribe star, his way of supporting the channel. Download the Census Fidelium app, and that will help support Steve and all his efforts as well. Thank you for hanging out with us here on the News from the Pew. Please like, subscribe, and share the News from the Pew. We'll talk to you all next week. God bless. And not next week's not Independence Day yet. So that's 2 weeks from now. That we're our Independence Day special that we'll have. Anyway, we'll talk to you all next week. God bless and Viva Cristo Rey.